Hi, this is Adam Cordover of Family Diplomacy in Tampa, Florida. I am here with one of the legends of mediation, of unbundled legal services, and of collaborative practice, my friend, my mentor, my co-author in San Diego, California, with offices in LA, by the way, Forrest Woody Mosten. Woody, how are you doing?
Fine, considering the world is closed up, and uh, delighted always to spend time with you, even through a screen.
Well, me too, and thank you so much for agreeing to do this. And we're going to be talking about something that in a recent webinar you mentioned, and it really had a lot of great interest with the participants. And you had mentioned your Peacemaker practice self-survey. And why don't we start off by, I guess, stepping back for a moment. Peacemaker, you know, we're family law attorneys, we're financial professionals. What do you see as a peacemaker? Who is a peacemaker in the family law realm?
Any of us could be, Adam. It isn't our role. It's a mindset. It's a mindset that we do more than just settle cases. It is a mindset and strategic skill base that helps people maximize their lives, heal after conflict, and manage future conflict as well, so that we aren't just case settlers. We're attempting to get a much deeper resolution and change for people who've had difficulty with their relationships and in their lives.
So it's people really trying to help make the world a little bit better, one family at a time, and it's not just a transactional nature, not just getting to settlement, but it's with the hope of helping to make families a little bit better after their process is done with. Am I summarizing that?
You are, very, very much so. If I could give it a medical analogy, mm-hmm. Someone is bleeding, probably the first thing is to put a tourniquet on to make sure that they stop the bleeding. And they may not be ready for rehab or running a marathon. When people have been victims of pernicious conflict, even of their own making, they quite often first need to be able to manage that conflict and hopefully stop it, and that's what a settlement or even deeper resolution can do. But a peacemaker that also works in prevention, meaning to be able to help people look to the future and find ways of avoiding conflict in the first instance. And there are two kinds of ways of conflict, of prevention, just like in the medical field. One is symptomatic, and the other is asymptomatic. Symptomatic prevention, a peacemaker can help a family or individuals within a family take the bleeding, build from there steps and strategies to help them recover. So they've used that terrible situation, and nobody likes disputes. No one wants to go through conflict, but to make it an opportunity. An example in the family realm is quite often it will be that before they will ever go to court on a future conflict, they will build in a clause that says they will return to mediation or to the collaborative process. Another one, then that's called asymptomatic intervention. Mm-hmm. A asymptomatic intervention may be that you try to find out what were the stresses in the first place that caused the situation and build in prevention to avoid it. For example, a regular parenting meeting every few weeks or every month, that'll, even when there's no conflict, that lets people talk about what's going on, and then if there are concerns, deal with them before they ripen into actual conflicts or disputes or even lawsuits.
So as you're saying, just like preventative medicine, this preventative dispute resolution.
Yes, I mean, for example, sometimes a family will work with their providers to come in every year or every 2 years, whether they have a problem or not, just for a check-in, just like you go to your doctor for an asymptomatic checkup. And amazing what can happen in a year. And what happens if nothing's happened? A peacemaker can be able to say to someone, you know, looks like you're doing everything well. Really continue it. Make sure that you can replicate what is going well with your co-parent, with the children, with obtaining new employment or your business. It is a really, it's a relationship which is far different, as you said, than a transactional one when you close the file.
Well,
never closes her file.
Imagine what a little bit of positive reinforcement for families that are getting along could help them continue to get along and meeting with a peacemaker. And so getting back to the survey, the thing that became the big discussion during the webinar, you have for years worked on a peacemaker practice self-survey. And you and a mutual friend of ours, Kevin Scudder, recently worked on a revised version of it. So what is the Peacemaker's Practice Self-Survey?
Adam, I may want to step back for a moment and just say why I developed that first in my book, Mediation Career Guide, and then in the collaborative book, Collaborative Divorce Handbook. The reason for it is that peacemakers generally are wonderful problem solvers and listeners and horrible business people. And the trouble with that is that every collaborative professional and almost every mediator is a small little business, 1 or 2 people. And if they don't make more money than they spend, they can't pay their mortgage, we can't feed our families, and it takes a very, very special person with that kind of economic financial situation to stay doing that kind of work so they can go back. They would otherwise go back to litigation or collections or for therapists managed care or financial professionals doing tax returns. So and there are no, we know that now in our world, there are no subsidies from the government or foundations for our work, even if we're doing God's work. Money is not there to help us in starting our little businesses and keeping them going. So I wanted to develop a tool that would allow mediators and collaborative professionals to look at their practice, to think about what were the core values that they bring into the practice, because frankly, clients pick us by who we are. And we differentiate ourselves by our values and our best attributes. Also, many of us are not clear about what services we are offering and make them available to other people, to our clients, and to explore new services. So this tool is a reflective opportunity for someone to really think about how the practice is doing now, and to use the Japanese concept of Kaizen to make a small little incremental change. And the whole goal is to better serve our clients and to improve our profitability.
So this has a very practical application. I know, one of the things that you like to say is, wouldn't you like to make peacemaking your day job, rather than it be something that's just on the side? And this is one of those tools to help make that happen.
Yes, and you can be able to serve more people. It isn't like we have coverage for all the conflict in our society. We need more peacemakers. And to do that, people need to find a way to replace income from other jobs that they may have had. And this helps them do that. Once they have filled it out, it is, and I believe they should then either share their answers with a colleague or even with an experienced practitioner such as yourself or trainers throughout the country, to then help them revise their mission statement, maybe prepare a business plan, and then continue thinking of building their practice along with their skill set. And it's really a dual approach. After I developed it, Kevin Scudder, with my permission and encouragement, adapted it and improved it considerably, and even tested it out with you and Brian Galbraith and others at IACP conferences and other venues to demonstrate what a peacemaking signature can be. In fact, he wrote a brilliant chapter for our book, Building a Successful Collaborative Practice, that the ABA published in 2018. And we had sort of two surveys, self-surveys floating around, and we like working together, and so we merged them. And now it's a co-authored, and I'm very proud that Kevin is my co-author for that, but it's a living document. If any of the people watching this video want to fill it out and think and find areas that we have not covered or can cover them better, we'd love to improve it and make it a one text document for the entire Peacemaker community.
So by the way, on that note, so that people can access it, is it all right if I post it on my website along with this video?
I would be honored.
And somehow I knew you'd say that.
Well, both of us, I think, have the view that we're not proprietary about the work that we do. We want to share it. We want others to improve on it. And I only ask that if you do improve it, send it back to us so we can have the improved version as well.
So actually, if it's all right, I'm going to share my screen right now, just so people can take a look and see what it is that we are talking about. And so you have this the Peacemaker Practice self-survey, and one of the things that you discuss is taking, you and Kevin mentioned, is taking personal stock and looking at what are the values to get people to identify what are the values that are driving, or at least that they truly believe in. Why is it important for a professional to know their values?
Well, if we're not clear about what we stand for, it's hard to communicate them to potential or current clients. And I believe in transparency in both the process and the providers. So people should know who we are, what we find important, what we stress. For example, if we believe in different forms of family, and not the traditional family, that may be off-putting to a potential client who wants someone who really just believes in bio dad, bio mom, and two children, and for an intact family. But if we are very open and supportive of alternative arrangements and extended families in various forms, I think potential clients should know that as well.
And one of the interesting things that I find while you're discussing values and having people fill out the values is you actually have a pretty comprehensive list of potential values, example of values that people may choose to have as their own. I found that very, very helpful.
Well, it's hard to come up with things and to be able to recall what someone is. In fact, it's often very difficult to look in the mirror and think about, what do I stand for? And so people often will draw a blank. But if they can get a list like this, and they can then adapt it to their own lives, and most importantly, see how a value is manifested in their practice, then they have a congruent look from top to bottom of how they operate as a collaborative professional or a mediator in their personal lives, and then translate that into their practice. I'll just give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
You throw in honesty. It's a very wonderful value. And just like George Washington would would be willing to tell his dad about chopping down the cherry tree, and that's something that we venerate and we try to put into our own lives. Well, honesty about how we give informed consent about the downsides of various process options, of how much things will cost when it could really sting, of how a client's view of the other party or of their behavior is hurting them and hurting their family, and being willing to use also the courage to share that honesty may be something that will bring will build a practice, but it also is, I think, a way to leave a life. So it isn't like you have one life at home and one life at the office. I think we're congruent human beings, and that is what I have found clients either want to hire me for or choose not to engage me.
Well, and I found that, not only just in general in helping to build your practice, but this has some very specific opportunities and implications as well. For example, what I found in doing this survey is it helps you differentiate yourself within a crowded marketplace and determine what are those values that really you cling to, and that ultimately you should then let others know about. For example, adventure and creativity are two of my values, and I think that's what has led me to help with creative problem solving with families and working on new and novel type cases and holding on to collaborative practice or becoming a collaborative practitioner when still it was relatively new in my community. I think others can identify their values and help them make those distinguishing features so that they can differentiate themselves in that marketplace.
I couldn't agree more. To make it very practical, Adam, all the time and money professionals put in to becoming really skilled mediators or collaborative professionals have their moment when someone calls us. And when someone calls us, it's usually because we made it to the audition list. The 3 people, all right, that a referral source says, you might want to talk to Woody Mosten or Adam Cordover or Kevin Scudder, and talk to all of them and see where it fits. You are differentiated from me by your values. I may not be as adventuresome as you, and that may be really comfortable for someone who wants a non-risk-taking professional, and it may be off-putting to someone who wants someone who is more risk-taking. And so they get what they, more of what they hopefully will use to help their lives. And so this is, I think, a wonderful tool in helping people build their practice and their skills, and with it, the kind of revenue and income that will keep them in the field for the rest of their careers.
And you have, there's really, it's a comprehensive survey. We were only going into a little bit just because of time, but I also wanted to mention as well that you do trainings on this survey and on quite a few different topics. Quite frankly, I know that you and I were actually supposed to have a training here in Tampa. Actually, it was supposed to happen a few days ago, and then you and I had planned on going to Burn's Steakhouse, and I'm sorry we weren't able to make that happen this time. But we have actually rescheduled the training that we were supposed to have. It is on. It's actually going to be happening March 19th and 20th of the year 2021 here in Tampa. And people can already start signing up at your website, mostenmediation.com. There's already a link for that. And I know that you're actually going to be doing a Train the Trainer training with the IACP also in March of next year. Would you like to talk about that for a moment?
Yes, it's actually one of the joys of my life is to be able to work with practitioners who are superb in their offices, but they also want to teach and train, but they haven't had the training to do that. And it is a wholly different profession to be able to be a trainer than to be a practitioner. There's adult learning theory and skills, and this is a training of how to teach this course, building a successful peacemaking practice. And we had our initial course in 2016, of which you were a participant.
Mm-hmm.
When someone takes that course, they not only hopefully learn how to be a better trainer, but they also have the right to use all of my materials without any licensing fee, and my endorsement to become trainers of their own, for-profit or not-for-profit, whatever they choose to do. And IACP is offering that to their members for those who have completed the course on their own.
Well, and I found it so helpful, and it certainly helped my training career in all the skills. So I would recommend those who have taken your Building a Successful Collaborative Family Law course and are interested in teaching it to others, that they certainly take that course. And of course, again, March 19th and 20th, we'd love to see you all here in Tampa. And I also know, Woody, that if communities would like to bring you in, unfortunately with the COVID-19, you're not able to, none of us are able to travel in person, but you are willing to offer your trainings on a web-based platform.
Yes, the in-person training is 2 days. People and practice groups can have it as compact as 1 hour, or they can customize it and as to what will fit the needs of their practice group and their budget.
Well, well, that's good to hear. Thank you so much, Woody. We spent 3 years writing the book together, building a successful collaborative family law practice, published by the American Bar Association. It was such a pleasure to get to know you and to work with you. And I mean, it's amazing everything that you've done. And if folks are in California, again, Woody's got offices in San Diego and in Los Angeles. You can learn more at mostenmediation.com. I'm here in Tampa, Florida, although I'm taking cases from all around the state. It's amazing what technology now allows. And so you're welcome to find out more about me and my practice at familydiplomacy.com. Woody, thank you so much, and thank you for speaking with me.
Thank you, Adam. Have a very good day.
All right. Take care.